Hey, what's up, guys? We got a late Legends recap here because I was out for a bit there and didn't get a chance to do it before everything went on. So, if you remember, where we left off was I was on Haikaru's ship called the Sunrise, and he had kind of semi-rescued us. Like, no, I guess he kind of rescued us, but even though we kind of had things under control to pick up those people, they're like those marauders that had assaulted us last time while we were trying to get this crystal formation from an asteroid mine. We met up with Pam and everything like that, or Pan and everything like that. I think what we decided to do when I got into the actual session was I was like, oh, like let's. Opal and I were like kind of talking. We were giving like Pan and the kids some space. So like let's go check out like the training facilities and everything like that. And we're walking our way there, and we run into it looks like the Rainbow Whip guy that I don't think I got a chance to fight him. He was the one that was like he was next on my list before like the ship knocked him out. He was being what looked like interrogated by the people on Haikaru's ship, and I just kind of looked in and watched him, and he looked up at me and caught my like watching him, so I gave him a wave, and then and he looked really sour at that, so we moved on. Opal and I made it to the training room and everything like that, uh, and the two of us just kind of like sparred it up a little bit, but like in a playful way, and I basically matched her power level, and then like we went like for technique, like kind of fighting here and there, and she put up a good fight. Like she, you know, I was surprised. Like, I think at some point like she was like taking my strikes, and I kind of employed that training thing that I learned from I think it was like the last shift where basically like I did it without like actually going through it, but it was like where one person attacks and the other person just defends. So you like she would like I would like attack and she would try to defend me, and then I would let her kind of attack and then like try to defend that, and it kind of works on like technique and everything like that. But it was a fun little thing, and I eventually managed to like like get the upper hand and everything like that, and then it came to a conclusion whenever the kids showed up after a while. We had a good time. Like it was like I said, it was a little flirty and everything like that, but it was also like it was serious enough to call it some training because Everest is all about climbing up those ranks now because there's too many big threats out there that want to beat them up. So the kids show up, which is Pan, Rohan, and Saya, and we're supposed to be here for like Pan's power demonstration or anything like that. So we talk a little bit, and Pan's like, "Okay, we're ready. Let's do." Or she, I think we go like they kind of go around the table, and it's like Saya talks about where she is. Pan's impressed, but Saya's kind of still like Saya's still the nut of the group. Like she's not even a Super Saiyan, and like Pan's a 2 now, which is insane because her speed from a 1 to a 2, like she hit 1 younger than I did, and then she hit 2 significantly faster than I did. Like she hit, I think it was like for me I was like 18 to like 23 or 24 before I hit 2, maybe even a little older. And like Pan hit it like in a year and a half, 2 years, like maybe 2. I think it was 2 years. So she went from like 18 to 20. So Pan's like one of those just like insanely gifted people when it comes to this stuff. She also has like a second Azuru as a personal trainer. I don't even know about that. I don't think that's true because like I don't think Allie's like her personal trainer, but she's also a Helix and like insanely gifted, which will come into play later. So Saya kind of goes around, explains her. Saya's a little down on herself just because like she hasn't had like some extreme glow up. Now she's progressing, but Saya's a nut. Like so her progression's actually like hard fought. Like each day of training like brings her a step closer, but it's a small step kind of thing. So yeah, there was that. Rohan doesn't really have much to report because he's Rohan. He doesn't want to fight yet. More to come on that too later. And then Pan finally does her thing, and I was like, "All right, let me see this kind of thing." So I pulled out the hammer and shot my power up lightning style, and everyone inside is like, "It was like, what are you doing? You're gonna take away her thunder?" I was like, "I can't like appreciate the power jump she has when I'm like basically a Super Saiyan at this point. Like if she's a 2, and she jumps to and I'm only at like 1, like a solid 1, not even a high 1." Like, I can't appreciate that jump because I was sparring with Opal. And Opal's about a high 1. Opal's kind of cool, though, in the sense that Opal doesn't power up like a Saiyan does. She doesn't have, like, that glow up. She just, like, exists at, like, a high 1 as far as I know. Like, she kind of engages her energy in a sense, but, like, it's not the same way where it's, like, a Saiyan, like, literally powers up going from, like, a weaker being to a much, much stronger one. So, like, that's what it was like. If I'm caught sleeping, like, Opal could handle me. Like, if I'm, you know, in my base form, but, like, I'm still more powerful than her, so we'll take it. So after that little thing, like, Pan does power up and bang, she hits 2. But she doesn't just hit 2, she keeps going. And obviously she doesn't hit 3, because that would just be upsetting. But she, like, goes, like, decently into 2. She's not just, like, a fresh, new, off the boat second form. And, like, oh, wow, that's awesome. So I was like, you know what we gotta do, right? We gotta spar this out a little bit. And Pan's like, yeah, of course, like, let's do it. Like, she's excited to do it. Because Pan, apparently, as we'll find out shortly here, had a freaking blow up beyond what I had. Like, she is out there training, getting it in, learning a bunch of new techniques. And the Pan might be the exception to the rule where a second form, an uninitiated second form, might be a match for me. Because I basically maintained that. Actually, no, well, yeah, well, we'll see. We'll theorize that out in a little bit here. But like, I have kind of long since stated that a uninitiated Saiyan equal in power to me will get bodied by Emrys like 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 times. Based on like the techniques and stuff I've seen from the uninitiated Saiyans. And that still might be true, but like Pan's getting close. But Pan's also a Premier, so like Premier is kind of like the Saiyans' answer, I think, to the Arcanian Saiyans. But here's the thing: Premiers are exceptionally rare, and Arcanian Saiyans are just like a race of Saiyans. So it's like, yeah, you have some normal Saiyans out there who have Premier abilities, like they would be a problem for an Arcanian Saiyan. In a sense, like I don't know what all the Premier abilities do. Like Pan's Helix thing makes her like a Constitution user in a sense, but yeah. So we'll see on that. But yeah, she definitely. I'm not entirely ready to eat my words because Premiers are so rare. But yeah. So we're getting ready to fight, and Saiya's like, hold on, wait. I got everyone here, and she goes on to explain that she's been researching that ritual we did with Rohan to kind of calm him down, and she feels like it's sort of incomplete, and it was a bit like it wasn't that it was incomplete. We did manage to do it, but it's like it can be improved on because of the stressful situation we're in, and just also not having the time to do it. So we kind of all agree that yeah, we'll try to help Rohan out because Rohan still has like the weird depression thing. He has like the weird disconnect from his body, everything like that. Basically, the premise is still Saya is the guide. She's basically using Pan's Helix to alter and change things inside of Rohan, and then I'm the battery. Because I'm the power source of this one. I'm still the canon of our little group. But yeah, that comes with its own set of problems. We decide to do the ritual. I go off to the side. I'm like, hey, listen, what was her name? Was it Prim? Might have been Prim. Probably didn't take that notes because the notes were getting sketchy. Yeah, they were sketchy notes. I think it's Prim. She is like Hikaru's, I don't want to say second in command, but like personal assistant, something like that. And I call her up. I'm like, hey, listen, we're about to do something here. That was something like I talked over to Saya real quick. I was like, all right, like what, are there any risk associated with this? Like, are we gonna like awaken like second to Zero Rage Rohan inside their ship? No, absolutely not. So with that in mind, I do my due diligence because I don't want Hikaru's people to be surprised if something does go wrong because you know how these things can go. And I basically reach out to Prim and I'm like, hey Prim, we've got everyone here that we need to do this specific ritual to help one of my apprentices. Like he's the one that was transformed by that weird black box. And hopefully this will help. Like the idea of the thing is to help him further like solidify himself as far as things go. I was like, there's no foreseeable risk that we see with this ritual. It's basically just like cleaning things up in a sense. But I do want you to be aware of the situation if some unforeseen thing were to happen, you're going to have this raging second Azuru level threat on your ship. And because we're in the training room, like you can train as a second Azuru in these things. So like she was like, okay, she's like it wouldn't hold indefinitely, but like it would at least give us the time, and then we would like evacuate it into space. You guys would probably all die. And I said, okay, that's fair. Like, you know, that's what you got to do. I just want to make sure you understand if you suddenly get like some off the wall readings and I don't want you guys like scrambling to figure out what happened. You know, what's going on and all that stuff. Like, I want you to be in on the information. And this is more like a thing because like Hikaru's an ally, and I also don't want to do like, you know, mess that up in any kind of way. So it's like, you know, they find out what I'm doing. That, you know, they know beforehand kind of thing. So we go through the ritual, and that's what it basically is. It's like it's kind of like fixing Rohan up from the inside. And long story short on that, it is a success when we come out of it. It takes about a good 50% of my power to do. And it's decently draining and everything like that. I think I passed out at some point too, which it was, like I said, it's weird, like, because I think I passed out like a couple times during this. I don't know if it's just like the actual energy drain or something like that, but it's definitely weird. And it basically, like I said, it seems like it fixes some of the issues that Rohan has when it comes to like his depression, his disconnect from his like body and everything like that. And it kind of like sets him straight. He also kind of reaches out to me as an aside and said like I'd kind of like to train. Like that fight with the golem thing, I think kind of woke something up inside of him where he realizes like he can be that asset. And that's something I kind of told him before is like, listen, when you're as strong as you are, because he hits like a 3, and he could body me if he like landed a hit on me. I don't think Rohan could probably land a hit on me unless he managed to catch me by ultimate surprise, and even then, like, my speed might be enough to overcome his, because I think he's like a 2 in speed. But yeah, he might be able to, like I said, yeah. But yeah, anyway, if he lands a hit on me, like, that's a problem. Like, if I don't have my armor out, like, he could probably kill me. If he hit it right. But like again, Rohan's not a fighter or anything like that, so like the chances of him putting together a blow like that is low, but still it's a thing. But I basically said, like, when you've got that kind of power, like at least learn how to wield it. Not necessarily that I want you to like if you don't want to be the frontline fighter, you don't have to be. But you know, at least, you know, with the great power comes some responsibility, Spider-Man style. And that holds true for Saiyans as well, as we learned with Dakuan. So he kind of says, yeah, like, I'd like to do that. And I was like, great, man. Like, let's, excuse me, let's do it up. So we kind of come to that agreement. That's a good thing, because I had wanted that for Rohan for a while, and it's going to be funny, because, like, the original thing I had said to Saya was, like, I need someone to train aside my apprentice for the Forge, and I was like, I think you would make a great partner for him. And she was like all put off at first, where it's like, I'm not just gonna train to be like your sidekick or anything like that. And I said, that's not the case. I was like, I wouldn't pick just anybody. I pick someone who I can see a future or potential in. So that this is like a long time ago, but anyway, now Saya's like a C rank, and like Rohan hits like a 3, so that dynamic doesn't work at all. Rohan's gonna be my training partner, and he's gonna like have, it's interesting because I think like he'll basically have me constantly fighting up. Like he is not a trained fighter in the sense of like his technique is probably gonna be miserable, but he's a very powerful fighter, so it's like throwing you into the ring with like a Hulk kind of person, and like just like letting you get like ragdolled around, which isn't necessarily bad for a Saiyan. So we'll see how that goes for me. So anyway, there's that. I'm at about 50% power. I learned something interesting about power and power levels. So it's not a 1-to-1 thing, but this isn't something I realized, because this is actually different from Unleashed, which, you know, like every game is different and everything like that. But in Legends, as a Saiyan specifically, I don't know about other races, is as you use up your power, it also uses up your strength, your speed, your durability, everything like that. So if you take a blast that drops you down to 75% power, it drops not just like your power reserves, but it also drops your strength, speed, and durability down. So like that was definitely something that was so surprising to learn. Like I didn't realize that it worked that way, which is cool that it does. It's just like it was a very surprising revelation that I hadn't realized before. Because like before, I'm thinking like, oh man, like I'm a 2 and I'm like down to 25% power. Like I can still maybe take this guy kind of thing. Like I'm just on my power. I'm on the end of my reserves. No, I'm also like 25% the speed, strength, and stuff that I was before. So those fights seem that much worse now. But also, like 100% Emrys that explains why 100% Emrys is so nasty. Uh, so Pan and I decide to spar it out. You know, I immediately jump into it after they're done celebrating with Rohan because that's that's the same thing. I'm kind of excited to see how Pan is with all of that. Man, Pan's scary. So we get into the fighting and everything like that. Um, and yeah, it's like I still have the upper hand. Like Pan's still a bit below me even at half power. Um, I want to say it's not a significant gap. Like it's not like the one of those unbreakable, unreachable ones. I think at 100% power, I think I'm just too fast and too strong for her. Because like even at 50% power, like I had her on the back foot a good bit, and then she whips out Kaioken at some point, which is a technique that I'm vaguely familiar with. I always call my tattoos my Kaioken style tattoos, but like Emrys is only vaguely familiar with the concept of Kaioken. So she breaks it out, and suddenly she's a lot stronger, a lot faster, and everything like that, and she's able to like kind of keep up with me. Um, to the point where like I bring out my armor at this point, like my Colossus style armor, which massively buffs up my strength and durability. Um, she has this technique called like I don't know I call them like the her moon breakers, where in this state like she basically channels destructive energy to her fist. I almost liken it to like like when the Hulk like picks up two cars on his fist and like starts smashing things with them and like just blowing off bits everywhere. It's kind of like that with like ki energy, where she basically supercharges her fist. It's actually a technique I want to learn. It fits well with like Emrys's fighting style. So when the DM explains that in her Kaioken state and being at 100% power for her, is these punches she's throwing out are like moon breakers. Like they could crack a moon. But like I said, we're twos, and like twos aren't sweet. Like twos are scary. And like I said, it'd be a small moon, but like being able to crack a planet with a punch is still a planetoid, is still scary. Um, and I'm trying to remember what it is. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. We kind of go at it with that, like the back and forth, and she like that comes a little bit, but like I had my defensive matrix out. Oh, that was like one of the first things. It was a cool like little anticipatory move that I kind of put in there where we were like going back and forth, and I was like, DM, whenever I want to try to force her into a disengagement with my speed, and then like usually when you disengage, like you just throw a blast out there to kind of put a little space, and I want to basically anticipate it and use my matrix. So like there was that cool moment of like where the master's still one step ahead in the fight, where it's like she bang 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 like kind of blocks this combo, and then like Emrys like forces himself into her space, and then like she's just kind of forced to like do that jump back thing because she's getting overwhelmed, and she like throws that quick blast. But like as she's throwing it, she sees like the matrix come out, like I read her movements, and so now she just knows that her energy is used to like power me up, so that like whenever I hit her next, it's gonna hurt that much more. Like I said, that matrix thing is sweet. Like it's a good bit of a power up for the physical punches. So that was a kind of a cool moment that I had there. Don't worry, I get humbled later. So we were doing that, and oh, she backs away, and she tries to start going the blaster route, where she starts to use a technique like a energy blast technique. Um, and I'm trying to remember the exact order of events, but I think it's something like I decide like, oh, did she land that strike on me? so at some point she lands a strike on me with these moonbreakers, and it bang sends me into the wall. And it hurt, but like it didn't actually. I thought it like might have a much worse effect. The DM basically said if I didn't have my armor up, it could have been like a fatal strike for me. Like if I got hit in the chest, especially in the heart, it would have been really bad. So like she did manage to land on me. I think it was like she used like it was just like a Kaioken kind of thing. And I'm trying because I can't remember if it was from the blast that she got it off, because that wasn't it now. So the blast come later. So I'm a little out of order on things. But she manages to land like a solid blow on me and like sends me flying, smacks into the wall and bounces off it. But I get back up and shake it off because like I don't want to like let her, like listen, we got to keep up some appearances here. So I get back up and like it didn't like I didn't have to spit up blood or anything like that. But like I got back up, picked myself up, and like, all right, took my fighting stance again. Oh no! And this time I was like, okay, DM, like if she's gonna like bring out like these things, like these moon killer gauntlets we're calling, even though they're not gauntlets, it's just like a technique she uses over her fist. I was like, all right, I'll bring out my heavy hitter. So I bring out two pillars, and she starts channeling special beam cannons, which is a new technique she learned, and like the pillar things are they're I think I've said enough about it before. Like I didn't want to bring them out on her because there's the blast wave, if she gets caught near one of these, is enough to like knock out and kill a lot of people who are like, it's enough to knock out or knock down someone who's equal to me, someone who's like, half of a two that I am. I could kill them potentially with it, if I land it. So like I didn't want to exactly bring these out, but it's just like she's got like these moonbreaker things that that could have been a fatal strike versus me if I wasn't careful with it. So I was like, all right, let's see what she does. So she tries to channel the special beam cannons, and like I kind of like let her a little bit like do her blast, and she sends them off, and she tries to detonate the pillars that kind of shoot them, because like we know a little bit about each other and everything like that, what they do. So I bring them into myself and like supernova them and kind of wash. Oh, this is a good point it's a good time to mention that like we had moved everyone out of the training room before this started, because we're like fighting at twos like this, like people like Saya would 100% die from the aftermath of things. Like Rohan would probably be okay but could still get damaged, and what's her name, Opal would be struggling in there for sure. But so I did the blast thing, and it washes over her, and then I just feel her power drop and disappear, and I'm like, oh shoot, I killed Pan. Because it wasn't close to her. Like that was the thing. Like there's like a giant like nova blast that comes off it, and like the epicenter is where like you get, it's a problem. Like that's one of the ones where you get disintegrated. Like there's just nothing left of you or anything like that. Especially if you're like less than me. If you're equal to me, like it'll send you flying back. If you're more powerful than me, it's gonna hurt and it's gonna drop your power a significant amount. But yeah, so I just feel it drop, and I'm like I completely like let down my guard, like go for like the senses to see where she went, and here she appears above me. It turns out that she's learned instant transmission as well. So in the short time that I've left her, she has picked up Kaioken. She has picked up instant transmission, which I thought was like I thought it was like a revealed in DBZ to be like almost like a divine level technique. I know he learned it from some aliens and stuff like that, but I think it goes on to like say that, I think it's like super or something like that, that it's like a very special technique. Like it's something that's up there and everything like that. So like Pan has some form of instant transmission, and she learned special beam cannon. So she already picked up 3 things in a pretty short period of time. I don't think I've learned anything new. I've just been training myself. And she goes above me, and it's like I'd kind of like left this out, but like Pan had been like kind of fighting all in, and I could tell that there was something like leading up to this that I left out, is like she was using the helix to kind of balance herself a little bit, because the effects of Kaioken and like the blows that she had taken in our scuffle had like been too much for her, and it's like she was basically using the helix to try to stabilize so that she didn't get knocked down like out of two, and then also just like knocked out or anything like that. So she basically tries this all-in punch, and I think she could have maybe caught me with a Polish haymaker. The problem was, I think even if she landed it, like, I don't know that it would have been like game over for me. Like, it would have definitely knocked me down and lowered me a good bit more, just because I think she was still using those breaker gauntlets. But I don't like, it's one of those ones where it's like, if I would have got my like kind of like try to take the brunt of it again, like, yeah, it would have messed me up. But like, it was her all in, and she just kind of like drops out and like not passes out, but like has that moment where her power just goes out because she had like overdone herself, and that's part, like, you know, thing with the Kaioken stuff. So I had never broken out my Harlequin mask because that seemed unfair, and I didn't use any of my items or anything in that, which I'm an item fighter. Like, that's my thing. Like, I didn't use my speed coins, I didn't use my hammer, anything like that. It was just straight hand-to-hand stuff, and then blast. So it's like, Emrys is fighting with like about half of his power overall because he was 50%, and he was fighting with half of his power because half of him is an ether magic user, half of him is constitution. So it's like, I wasn't giving him the full kit, but Pan had me on the ropes, even saying all that, which is crazy for her to be able to do. Like, Pan's always been a bit better fighter because she's trained, like, she's been military raised, or I've been more like adventure raised. Like, the, you know, Emrys is not like a military combatant where he basically lives every day to fight or anything like that. Whereas like Pan was raised in that atmosphere. But even saying that, like, respect to Pan, because like Pan put me on the back foot for sure, even with those stipulations. Which now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess like Emrys was half power, and he also wasn't using any of his items or anything like that, and you know, he didn't use all of his techniques because, you know, that I think if I like bust out the Harlequin, one, it's going to lower my power by 25%, so it leaves me on like on empty as far as the tank goes. I still have 25%, but like, I didn't want to do that, and I think like the speed would have just been too overwhelming, or it just like it wouldn't have made for a good fight or anything like that. So yeah, like I said, I guess like him like kind of not one hand behind his back, but like definitely like not using his full suite of abilities. Like, she was able to keep up and also put me on the back foot. So kind of respect to her for that. That was about where we called things. I think I ended up catching her or something like that, like similar to the way I kind of caught Opal. But I was like, you know, not bad, like, you know, not bad, kid, kind of thing. Pan is 100% going to surpass Emrys. Like, within, I think within this 5-year gap, she might catch up to him. So we'll see what happens here. But it was a fun fight. It was fun to see. I had two fun fights. I had the fun fight with Opal where it was more technique based, like kind of like hand to hand stylings, and then I had a fun fight with Pan where it's just like Pan's like another two, but she's a Helix, and that was one of the ones where I was like, okay, like, all right, like Helixes are a problem. Like you can't just go out there and treat her like an uninitiated Saiyan or anything like that, like a non-Arcadian. And expect to just like overpower her with stuff. Now, like I said, if I maybe have some other techniques that are more like ephemeral, like your psychic things or like your life magic, like those kind of things, I think surpass it a bit more. Like the Constitution's more like the straight up stand up fight where it's like I can fight people above me because of Constitution, whereas like some of the other schools of magic are more I can fight equal power to me and defeat them more decisively. So it's like, yeah, you kind of pick and choose on that one. But yeah, so that was where the session ended. It was a little on the shorter side, but that's okay. We got through what we needed to get through. I think that was the end of that time skip session. So we'll see where I go next time I manage to get in. So if everyone wants to turn down those sessions, feel free to. And that's where we are.